This week on Epic Geeks,
Call of Duty gets captains,
GTA still tops the charts,
Sony VR gets pricey,
and get ready to remortgage your house for Battlefield 1 Collector's Edition.
In a world of tyranny and persecution, a world where geeks are ridiculed for their fondness of blue hedgehogs, Italian plumbers, and night elves, there is a place where those that are persecuted can find solace and lulls, where like-minded geeks can join forces and together grow stronger, as together they can wield unimaginary power, invade enemy lines, and loot bosses. Together, they are Epic Geeks.
Hello and welcome to episode number 30 of Epic Geeks. Yes, here we are again. My name is Dracas, your host for today, and with me we have the lovely Britza. Hello, Britza.
Hello.
See, I'm still saying you're lovely after all this time.
I know. You'll change that sooner or later.
Oh well. It's because I'm really unoriginal. I can't think of any way to introduce you.
I was about to say you've even written it out and through what looks like forced typing. So I'll send you the appropriate tenor.
How have you been?
Yeah, very good. Very good.
Enjoying this lovely sunshine we've been having?
I know, it's weird, isn't it, in the UK? I know it sounds so typically British to talk about the weather, but it has actually been quite nice.
We're not used
over here
to
in
it,
the UK. We're not used to it. Well, also because we've written off our summer. I think, well, I had. I decided, right, there's going to be no good weather, and then there was loads of it. So I think we just kind of had a very late summer, and it's still kind of going on, to be honest. So it's doing well.
It's good. It's not really video game playing weather, is it, if I'm honest?
No, it's not. It's not staying inside, and also, you know, in my flat where I'm on the top floor, heat rises.
Although now we have Pokemon Go, of course. It's perfect weather for playing video games.
Yes, I think that's one way to do it. However, I find with Pokemon Go, you have to sort of, how can I put it? All the Pokestops and all the stuff you're looking for tends to be in like really antisocial places. So when you're trying to meet up with people, enjoy the weather, you have to choose. You can either meet your friends or you can play Pokemon Go, which kind of shows that Pokemon Go is now not a social game. You have to kind of just go off on your own and just be alone for an hour.
Yeah. Unless you want to meet your friends in car parks and churches or really random places.
Or just meet strangers in car parks and churches. That's pretty much, I think, where the game's going. Nothing wrong with that.
Not at all. So what have you been playing over the last couple of weeks?
Good question.
Hang on. I nearly forgot the...
What are you playing, you geeky gamer geek you?
It's very important, that.
It is. I now feel like I can talk. What have I been doing? In some ways, it's going to sound silly because given the fact we've done the intro, I haven't really got much to say. Without turning it into a Geeks of Azeroth episode, there's obviously Legion coming out, so there's a lot of WoW stuff going on in the background. And apart from that, apart from sort of pottering about on Witcher 3, there hasn't really been that much, to be honest. I keep meaning to like go back into Steam games and things like that, and I basically, I mean, work-wise, is sort of taking a lot of my time, so I'm kind of in that lull phase we always get into, all of us, every couple of months, where you just kind of lose track of what you're playing. So not an awful lot, I think, is the short answer.
How are we getting on with The Witcher 3? Because I still haven't got past the kind of introduction.
I've now just got back through the introduction again, because I got like not very far, like a couple of hours in, but then I dropped it for like 7 months. And I'm new to the Witcher franchise, so I had no idea who these characters are or what was going on, and I'd had a rough idea of what I was doing, but I thought I didn't know how the controls work, and I'd end up just going around hitting the X button from then on because I wouldn't remember any controls. And I thought, I should probably learn how the game works and That's why I redid the intro, and I'm glad I did because I now know what's going on. Albeit I haven't really played it much since, so I'm probably going to end up doing the same thing 7 months from now.
Probably, yeah. I'd spent. It took me about an hour to get out of the first room, to be honest with you, when I picked up. To complete it, I had to look in every corner and touch everything and kind of.
Yes. It's one of those games.
That's when I thought this isn't going to be a good game for my time sink. So I haven't gone back to it since. I probably should go and spend some time. I just wonder what your thoughts are on it. Okay.
It's really good. It is really good, and it's always I want to get through it because everyone talks about how great the story is, and I feel like given I bought this game. 15, 16 months ago, I really should have got past the first couple of hours by now.
It's one of those games you have to kind of take some annual leave for, isn't it? Just take some time off and just sit down and play it.
Yes, that's probably the good thing. I've got some annual leave coming up for Legion, so if I get killed off with Legion, then I can perhaps use Witcher 3 as my my sort of rest
Back
time.
up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What about you? What have you been doing?
I've literally just been playing Destiny. That's all I've played. I've kind of become very, very addicted to it again. Rise of Iron's obviously coming up in a few weeks' time, and a month's time, and they brought out the Moments of Triumph, which is, I don't know if you know, they had Moments of Triumph last year as well, which is basically this kind of gamer card they give you. And there are certain things in there to complete, like achievements, like finishing the raid on hard mode, collecting all the calcified fragments, things like that. Completing certain quest lines, it's Taken King quest line, the Crucible quest line, and every time you complete each Moment of Triumph, you get something given to you, like a shader, or an emblem, and basically at the end of it you get an achievement, and you can go and buy a nice t-shirt on the Bungie store to say that you have completed year 2 of the Moments of Triumph. So there's loads of people playing the game at the moment trying to complete their Moments of Triumph before Rise of Iron comes out, which is the time we've got basically to do it. So it's quite a good way of getting everybody back playing the game, which is very, very clever. And the other interesting thing about it is, how much I detest PvP, mainly because I'm not particularly good at it. So I tend to avoid it as much as I can. I'm very much a PvE player in everything that I play. But because you have to complete the Crucible quest line to get your Moments of Triumph, I've had to go in and PvP in Destiny. But I've actually really enjoyed it. And you know what? I've got quite good at it, even if I do say so myself. So I'm on a really, really tricky bit where you have to kill at least 6 people in a Crucible match using different weapons. So like auto weapon, you have to do it 4 times. Auto weapons, pulse rifles. I'm currently on the hand cannons. It's the last part of it. Once I get through this, then I get the final quest, and I'll be nearly there. So
awesome.
I've actually had to, the things you have to do to get through the Crucible quest line, they're not the toughest of challenges, but you have to be able to play reasonably well to get through them. So there is a challenge there, but it is achievable for everybody, even me.
I think you suffer the same thing I do, which is, with things like WoW, like when they had the Legendary Cloak quest, a big part of that was going out and doing PvP, and I really want to do it because, one, you never know if your team's going to win. Like typically the Alliance suck at PvP, and I was doing it as an Alliance, so I thought, I'm never going to get through this. And also, perhaps like you, I get really apprehensive about PvP stuff because you're right. You think like loads of people are really good. You're in for like 2 seconds, you get headshot by someone with a rocket launcher. You think, that's it. That is going to sum up what my entire PvP experience is going to be like to the end of time. And you get worried. You think, I don't really want to do it because there's loads of pros on there and I'm not really there. But you go in, and after a little while, you kind of just catch up.
Yeah.
And luck kind of, takes control, and then you realise you're actually pretty good at it. So I think you're very much like me in that.
And if you
throw yourself in.
And if you go in with friends and just don't take it too seriously and have a bit of a laugh, then it's not too bad either. Just don't take it too seriously. And the good thing about Destiny PvP as well is because you've got the kind of the subclasses as well to play around with, and you get the supers. It's not just about the different weapons that you're using, because there's the variety of weapons you can use in Destiny is enormous. Then you've got the different melees, the different supers. It's so dynamic compared to a lot of other games, so it keeps it quite interesting as well. But that's what I've been doing, basically trying to get through my my Moments of Triumph. I've been raiding as well. That's the other thing I've been doing with my clan, the Synth Lords. We've got through normal. I've nearly completed it on hard mode as well, on heroic. So I've just got to kill Oryx, the final boss, and then I would have completed that as well. So yeah, it's all good.
Awesome.
All good. But literally, I haven't, because I'm trying to get this all done before Rise of Iron. I haven't done anything else. So.
And that's fair enough. I think in all our respective games, we are rushing because something new's about to come out. So
yeah, it's that time of year, isn't it? That's it. That is it. So onwards to gaming news.
Epic Geeks talk rubbish about gaming news they know nothing about.
Yeah, here we are again, talking about stuff we know nothing about, literally, because the first bit is about
quite literally nothing.
Call of Duty, and yeah, it's a very, very slow news week this week, so it should be a slightly shorter podcast than normal, because we're in that kind of summer lull, aren't we, where kind of we've had the big announcements at E3, and then we're waiting for a few big titles to come out in the kind of autumn time, end of summer, and there's kind of like that lull in the summer where everyone goes on holiday pretty much, and nobody worries about gaming news. So there's not an awful lot, but there are some things to talk about, and the first thing is that we've got a new trailer for Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, a game that in itself has caused some controversy since it was announced. But just to start off, I'm going to play the little trailer. So we've basically been introduced to the captains in this trailer, and here it is.
Make way for the captain! Where is he, folks?
Where's Captain Alden?
Right here, sir.
Gator.
Captain's dead.
Went down with his ship.
XO?
No longer with us, ma'am.
All this happened in the crash?
Yes, sir.
So who has the con, Gator?
Is the highest ranking officer on board? I believe you do, sir.
Destroyer Tigris is docking a shuttle to come aboard.
Roger that. You spinning radar?
Still turning, sir.
Get Raven transport set for evac. I want our casualties outbound right away. Drop officer, coordinate with engineer and get us mobile.
Roger. Engineer McCallum's on her way.
Staff Sergeant, can we count on your help?
You'll have what you need from me, Lieutenant.
Salt, you with me?
Always.
Gator, get the Admiral on the line.
Copy. Comms officer, Stratcom, Top Cat Sovereign.
Roger. Tigris captain on deck.
Captain Farron? Lieutenant, who's in charge here?
Lieutenant Reyes, SCAR team leader.
Captain, your ship and crew?
Intact.
Sir, Admiral Rains is on the line.
Put him through.
Captain Farron, ladies, gentlemen, it's good to see you.
Sir.
Let me make our situation absolutely clear. We are now at war with the Settlement Defense Front. Due to Captain Alder's use of force, the enemy was driven into retreat. At this time, Tigris and Retribution are the only operable ships we have. Our course of action moving forward is to buy Earth time while we rebuild our fleet.
Understood, Admiral. Tigris is prepared for tasking.
Today's attack was not limited to Geneva. SetDef launched a concurrent strike on the Moon Gateway port, and those cargo terminals receive freight critical to rebuilding our fleet. So your mission is to retake that port. Lieutenant Reyes, I'm promoting you to the rank of commander. You are now the acting captain of Retribution.
Roger that, Admiral.
Keep the enemy away from home. Godspeed, captains. Top Cat out.
We've got no air wing.
We'll go without it. That's how we do things in the infantry, Lieutenant.
We'll insert the Marines from Retribution.
I'll provide overwatch from Tigris. Let's go to work, Captain Reyes. Stay sharp out there, all of you.
You too, Captain.
You got some shoes to fill now, Captain.
We've got limited boots and guns. Lieutenant Salter and I will deploy with you.
This is a ground assault. Captain's place is on the bridge.
Not this, Captain. Not today.
Dun dun dun.
Pre-order and get the terminal bonus map.
There's always a bonus for pre-ordering at the end.
If you don't pre-order it, like if you've got this map and other people don't, like, how does that add to it? Just
I don't know.
if you're trying to get this little playground for all the people who pre-ordered, there's not going to be that many of you. You'll probably be able to recognise people by the end of it.
So the captains have been introduced. that guy, Captain Reyes, is almost Captain Kirk, as the PC Gamer article says. Captain Kirk mode, engage.
Yes, but like Captain Kirk, he does that really silly thing of, going into the front lines.
Yeah.
It's like, why? I don't know. I don't
You're
think
the
that's
most
why
experienced person we've got on this ship, and then you're going to go off and blow yourself up.
Yeah, quite literally. Like, they've lost their captain, he gets promoted, and then throws himself back out there. I'm pretty sure that's not why the guy promoted him. So, but hey, it wouldn't be a very good game if you just sat in a chair all day and played Sims.
No, exactly. So we know a little bit more about this game now. So the Retribution is like the main ship, but most of the fleet has been destroyed. So this is going to be your hub where you're going to go off and do your missions from, and go do all the kind of Call of Duty stuff. Down on the ground, I suppose. But this game, we were talking about it before the podcast, has already caused a little bit of controversy. I've never really been a big COD player. I have played quite a few of them. I've enjoyed it. I like first-person shooters. It's one of my main kind of game modes I like playing. But as you know, I'm very much kind of a sci-fi player. I like Halo. I like Destiny. And so, Call of Duty hasn't really kept me engaged. However, this Infinite Warfare, this kind of futuristic, more sci-fi approach really interests me and really engaged me, but that has also annoyed a lot of the original player base that like the kind of World War II realistic settings. So it's kind of interesting, isn't it, the way that they're going, maybe upsetting a lot of their fan base but bringing new people into it. Do you think they're trying to drag people with them? Or are they literally trying to get a new player base?
I think there's so many reasons why they could be doing this. I think the thing to ask is why do people think this is a bad decision? And I think at some level, it's always been that rivalry between the Battlefield series and Call of Duty. They've always been the two going head to head every single year with new releases. And yeah, Battlefield has got it's had its sort of war roots. It's, you think like back to Battlefield 1942 and Battlefield Vietnam. They were very much World War style games, and then they sort of branched out into almost like more SWAT cityscape style.
And people didn't like that, did they? Like Hardline didn't go down particularly well.
No, and it wasn't. It still isn't really received as a great game, but it was them trying something different. And I think a lot of people are looking, the Call of Duty fan base is looking at this as a potential Hardline, in that it's something different, but it's going to fall flat on its face. And I think that what people need to appreciate is, from EA. Am I getting it right? EA. I'm not even sure if I'm getting that right, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure they do. Yeah.
I'm getting confused. From EA's perspective, this just shows you how similar the games are in my perspective, because I can't even make sense who's making these. From EA's perspective, they are just trying to look around what other people are doing and just see if they could just become more appealing. So they've seen people, Halo players. Mass Effect's got a lot of ground again all of a sudden.
Activision, it's Activision.
It is Activision, sorry. I think what they're trying to do is they're just trying to try something new, appeal to a wider base, and really just get with what's not popular, but where things are heading. Sci-fi and sort of trying that futuristic theme is probably where sort of first-person shooters are going. So I don't see why there's an issue with this. I think people get hung up on this idea that they're going to keep playing the new iteration of the World War II game till the end of time, and I think people just want to play the same game but just get almost like patch updates.
Yeah.
They just want to pay 50, 60 quid each year for effectively a patch update with some new missions and a different storyline. But it's effectively the same game, and Activision I think has done a good thing by just saying, well, you know what, let's just do an extra thing. Let's go a little bit further and just try a different style to the franchise. And why is that a bad thing? I don't really get it.
And Hardline might not have been so good for EA because EA did Battlefield games, so we're getting confused. But some people might have said they didn't maybe put a lot of effort into Hardline. There wasn't maybe as much backing going into it. I don't know. The game just didn't seem to have the same spark that some of the other games had. Whereas this, from Activision's point of view, it looks really interesting. It looks like it's got quite a much deeper kind of lore and story to it, and that maybe it's got a little bit of a backbone to it, as opposed to Hardline not having such a backbone, if you know what I mean. Does that make sense? But I mean, it was quite. We were laughing at some of these comments at the bottom of the PC Gamer article. I found them quite funny. So some of them are saying it looks amazing. You got Leroy here saying, "Oh my actual god, that looks fantastic." But then there's this interesting one here from Ben Bear that kind of sums up maybe. I don't know if it's the minority or the majority, because I don't really know the player base as a whole, but it sums up definitely a very niche area of the player base. He says, gateways on the moon, protecting Earth, maybe taking it too far futuristic-wise for COD, time will tell. At least they didn't give us a beautiful detailed 360 view of a dog as part of the promotion this time. I thought the Alsatian looked good in the in the trailer last time. And then there was Blind Man replied by saying, "What is with you guys? I honestly don't get it. Do terms like this confuse you? This game looks fun as hell. It may just be the first COD I pick up since the original Modern Warfare because it looks different from the usual go us bro bit." So, some people do like this different bit. And then Ben Bear's come back with an even funnier reply. "No one is confused. The only one confused here is the person who cannot get context from a few paragraphs I wrote and adds his own assumptions. Gateways and everything fringe science is something we see in Halo or Mass Effect. COD has always been a more grounded franchise. I question if it belongs in the COD franchise, or is it maybe leaning to be a title of its own rather than borrowing the COD name. I never said it was bad, I said time will tell." So I think, you're right about what you said earlier, that maybe some of the fan base just want to replay the same games, and they're not sure how this new avenue is going to go. But I personally, it's probably going to be a game that I buy.
Same.
But that's because it's maybe going down the sort of gameplay that I like.
Yeah, and in some ways, I think that's what I've forgotten his name, but that particular. Ben
Bear.
Yeah, Ben Bear. I think that's what he was trying to say. I feel weird saying Ben Bear. But that's what I think that's what you're trying to get at. I was saying, you know what, we're going to pick it up because it's quite similar to what we like.
It's not similar to what he likes.
Well, I think that's the thing. He's griping on about the fact that to him, Call of Duty's always been in this little sphere of itself. It's always done its own thing, and it's always been different from the other games that have embraced all this sci-fi tech and things like that. And I think that's where the conflict's happening. EA wants to... Activision, God, I'm never going to get this right. Activision wants to develop this game so that it's moving with the times. You can't just sit there in the corner, claim that corner, and say, you know what, we're going to keep making games that are just doing this. They're not going to really develop or evolve, but this is going to be our niche, and no one's going to beat us at doing this. Well, if that's not where the player base is, then your game's going to die. And, say EA did this with the Battlefield series, went all out, like proper futuristic, and it was a huge success. Well, they've just missed a huge opportunity because they're the ones that are behind then. So I think it's right to take the gamble themselves, to go out there and push it. Battlefield is going back in time. They're going back to their World War roots. Yeah. With Battlefield 1. So in some ways, they're completely polarized now. And I think that's such a better system that they're just going to go out and explore completely different ends of the spectrum and just see what does best. And, I think, you look at it from that perspective as well. These two games that have been always kind of treading on each other's toes are now going to take a good step away from each other. And you can see what the responses are after the games are released, because I think it's actually going to be a lot better for the overall community. I think you'll get a lot of people buying both games rather than just picking their favourite one and sticking to it like a hardcore believer like the Ben Bear is.
I agree. It brings a bit of diversity to it. I think.
Exactly.
A bit of diversity.
And when's that ever? Is that a bad thing?
No. And, you can still go and play the old COD games. They're still there. Yeah,
exactly. I'm sure some people are still playing Modern Warfare 2. I mean, admittedly, that is a great game, so it's worth playing.
So that's that. Next little bit of news topic we've got here is Grand Theft Auto 5 beats off competition from Uncharted 4 to take 9th #1 in all formats chart. So Grand Theft Auto 5, after an impressive 150 plus weeks inside the top 40, is back on top of the all-time format charts after beating off close competition from Naughty Dog's Uncharted 4: Thief's End. So, we had a little look at this earlier. Grand Theft Auto back up at the top, Uncharted 4 at 2, Lego Star Wars The Force Awakens is 3, Overwatch is 4, FIFA 16 is 5, Rocket League is 6, Doom is 7, Call of Duty 8, etc, etc, etc. Minecraft, amazingly, is still in there at number 10, the Xbox edition. I'd imagine, actually, if you put all... That's a bit confusing, because it's the Minecraft Xbox edition, whereas we're looking at all formats. So I'm surprised they haven't put Minecraft in all their formats, if you know what I mean. Because I would imagine that must be top, surely, if you did that. Or very close to.
I don't know how they compiled the list. That's the thing. It does confuse me. You're right. You know, why aren't they adding the other versions of the game in? And also, I don't know if it surprises me that Xbox is potentially the best-selling version of it.
Because they've got the mobile version, haven't they? They've also got the PC version.
Exactly.
But anyway, you pointed out an important point at the beginning as well. That Uncharted 4 is a PS4 game, so it's not available on Xbox and PC. Whereas GTA 5 is also available on all of them. So Uncharted 4's done very well to get a second place there. Really. Yeah. But doesn't it show how well GTA 5 has done to still be there after all this time? It's still hitting that top mark.
I think it just goes to show just how resilient the game is. You know, before the show we were talking about this, and I said about how, you know, in some ways you've got to take this with a pinch of salt because Grand Theft Auto 5 had a re-release when the new consoles came out. So naturally, it's going to get the boost, as not only would it have potentially sold the older games, but that came out not too soon before the new consoles came out. So people were potentially rebuying the games.
For a second time, maybe.
For a second time. So, you know, when we talk about all platforms, you know, a lot of these games don't have the advantage of being able to rely on the 360 and the PS3. So I think that's something to consider. Again, I don't know the background of how that factors in, but I presume it must carry some weight if Grand Theft Auto has managed to stay in the chart for 150 weeks. But also, it's a great game. You know, I haven't completed it yet, but you know, it's just one of those games where you buy it and it's kind of like a tradition for a lot of people. You just buy the game and you just buy it every year, so it's got a huge following, a really loyal following, and in some ways I think it's always going to be there. Like, it's always going to be a top 10 game. It's always probably going to be a top 5 game. So, and I don't blame Uncharted 4 for not making number 1, but in some ways I'd say you could ignore Grand Theft Auto, because I think to get number 2 spot is kind of, you know, as good as you could get.
Be interesting to see how long it stays in the top 40 sort of overall. It's 150 plus weeks now, so it'll be interesting to see if this time next year if it's still in the top 40.
150 plus weeks, that's 3 years.
Yeah, I know.
That's insane. Like, you know, that's an insane amount of time. It's been in the charts for 3 years. And Uncharted 4's only just come out. So, and Overwatch, I mean, Overwatch is one of Blizzard's most successful selling games. They've recently announced 15 million copies. So, you know, that kind of puts some context onto the rest of these results. So Uncharted 4 is, by the numbers, sold over 15 million copies. I'm sure you can look up the numbers elsewhere. So that's not bad. Whereas, you know, Grand Theft Auto, because of those re-releases, it's definitely sold, I would say, over 30 million probably, I'd imagine. Something like that.
It's a lot. Blizzard's gone up. It's moved up a few places to number 4 after the announcement of the DLC last week. So that's obviously given that a little bit of a boost this week. So we just thought we'd kind of mention that briefly. Sony adds PlayStation VR titles to the PlayStation Store and official pricing revealed. October 2016.
£1 million?
£349.99, supposedly. What are you thinking about that price?
I actually think that's quite reasonable.
It's compared to a lot of the other VR headsets, it's a good price, isn't it?
Yeah, and you know, once you party that up with the new console, it's incredibly powerful. So I think it's not just competitive on price; it's competitive on gameplay as well. I think a lot of people will argue against me and say, you know what, the superpowered PC, you could just create the most amazing visuals with an Oculus, but I think for what it is, like a consumer piece of tech, which is designed for people who aren't looking for top of the complete life-changing experience VR, people who just want to see what it's like and see it not just as like an alpha test, but see what it can really do to gaming experiences. 350 quid, that's a decent sell. When you think that people would spend that on an iPad or an Apple Watch, or it's quite comparable, and if anything, it's more state of the art than some of this tech.
It's me saying, I was about to say, I wouldn't spend that sort of money on a VR headset, and then I realised I did spend stupid money on an Apple Watch.
Yeah, so did I. I just recently spent 300 quid on an Apple Watch, so to think, would I pay an extra 50 quid to get a VR headset? Yes, I would. So
see, I'm still not sold with the whole VR thing. You know my feelings on it anyway. A friend of mine at work has just gone and bought one, and he's saying, "Oh, you should come over and try it out." And it still feels very gimmicky to me, and I don't really know why. I think, you know what, I've got a Kinect up there, and everyone says that Kinect was going to revolutionise gaming. The Wii was going to revolutionise gaming and everything else, and I kind of think at the moment, I could be wrong, but VR at the moment still feels a bit like 3D to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
You can go to the cinema, you can watch it in 3D or 2D. There are still more 2D screens than 3D screens, because most people don't want to sit there with 3D glasses on their head. I have to wear glasses when I go to the cinema because I have distance glasses. It annoys me to have to sit there with 3D glasses over the top, and I don't feel that comfortable with a VR headset on. It's not how maybe I'm just old-fashioned. It's not how I like to play games. Maybe if they bring out a Halo VR, then I might change my mind. But I haven't been sold on it yet. It's a lot of money, I think, for something that might end up being a gimmick.
Yeah, I, in fairness, my real enthusiasm for VR isn't so much in gaming. I've always argued, and I've said this on Geeks of Azeroth, and I think probably anyone I've spoken to on the subject said this, that I think the future of VR really is gonna find itself in spectator events. I can't remember whether it was Dota or League of Legends, but they've just given a sort of first impression of what their VR spectator mode looks like, and involves getting really down with the players. So you're very much, you come where you think you look at this top-down stuff, the VR is like almost on ground level with the characters, so you're almost getting a completely unique experience. I think that's where I want to see VR go, and that's why I want to get on board, because I would love it if I bought one of these and then PlayStation said, you know what, we're going to host this tournament, and you're going to be able to watch games through Twitch, but on a specific VR channel that allows you to look around. And I just see that. That's where I see it going. So that's where my enthusiasm. If I can get my words out, I'm that enthusiastic. But I do agree with you. I think it does come across gimmicky in some ways, because it is, in some ways, it is approached like 3D. It's a look. It's not. When we talk about VR, we don't always talk about how it will affect mechanics, how it affects the way games play, and how it affects how stories are told. I think what everyone talks about is, oh, brilliant, I can turn my head and the camera moves, or I can look all around me. And you're right, that is gimmicky. That's the gimmicky side of VR, because you get bored of that very quickly. I think the interesting thing is how they develop games that specifically are tailored to VR, and how that affects storytelling and how that affects gameplay mechanics. You know, not just like the stuff we played when we were at EGX all that while ago, where you kind of like have to solve a maze in VR. That's cool. That's a cool way of using the gameplay.
Showing off technology, yeah.
Show off the technology, but going a bit further than that, and just really, really focusing on gameplay and storytelling, and how VR can add to that experience in a way that 2D can't. I think it's going to be the key. But you're right. Just buying it because if you just want to buy it because, you know, oh, it looks really cool and I can just move the camera about with my head, and I can sit in my room and be immersed, then I think you're going to find it a hard sell. You have to really believe in what this can do in the long term, I think.
And I don't think I'd feel... Sometimes I sit here and, I'm alone in the house playing a computer game. I don't think I'd feel safe if I couldn't see what was going on, I couldn't hear what was going on. I don't know. I've just got to be sold on it at the moment, and time will tell. In a year's time, I might think completely differently, but at the moment, I'm going to save up for an Xbox Scorpio.
I wouldn't blame you, to be honest. I think they're both worth it. They really are both worth it. At the end of the day, I mean, how many games are they talking about here? So we're looking at 5 titles listed.
Hustle Kings VR at $17.99, PlayStation VR World $34.99, Riggs Merchandise Combat League $54.99, Super Stardust Ultra VR $17.99, Until Dawn Rush of Blood $17.99.
And admittedly, I don't know if any of those games are franchises that already exist or whether they're entirely new IPs. But like the fact that some of those are $18. So what's that, about 12 quid, 11 or 12 quid for us?
There's only one really big price game there, isn't there?
Yeah, there can't be that much content. And I think in some ways that tells me that those are games that are just going to be sort of flagship games. So maybe it's not right to buy it straight away. I think the games will appear, but some of this stuff could almost be like demo games.
And there's bound to be a bundle, isn't there? When the Neo comes out, maybe, or whatever the PlayStation bring out next year, whatever Sony has in store to compete with the Scorpio, they're going to do some kind of bundle, surely. It's going to be priced at something better than just buying it separately.
You would think so. I don't see a reason why they wouldn't. I mean, the new console is designed specifically to give the power for the headset. So in some ways, it wouldn't make... How can I put it? I don't think you're going to get the true benefit of the new console unless you buy it with the VR headset in some ways. I mean, it will bleed into the game, and the power behind it will come through naturally in non-VR games. But yeah, I guess they will bundle it, but that's still a pretty hefty price tag. You think new console, 300? You're looking at about 750 quid.
Yeah.
Which
is what we said. The Scorpio is probably going to be priced at.
I think what they would end up doing, if anything, is almost like the equivalent of an Xbox Elite bundle. I think they would release like a special, Elite style controller, bundle that in, and just sell it for like 900 quid. Something that real hardcore gamers can get behind. And
the complete package. Here is your complete gaming package.
However, if they're going to get it, they need to announce it soon, because all the hardcore gamers would have bought the VR headset.
They would have just gone straight out and bought it anyway. Talking about the Xbox Scorpio, moving on from Sony, Cortana is now, those of you who've got Xbox would have had the update and would know that Cortana has now overtaken the Kinect usual listen Xbox feature. You can now talk to Cortana on your Xbox. I haven't actually got mine set up yet, but Microsoft has said that reminders will soon be coming to Xbox, so this kind of goes towards the more integration with Windows, with the Windows Phone, with your Windows 10. It's all going to be connected, so you can be sitting on your Xbox and say, Cortana, remind me to walk the dog in 20 minutes. And she'll remind you to walk the dog in 20 minutes. And like I said to you at the beginning, I'd imagine that this is all going to be linked in, a bit like the Apple integration, where if you decide to turn your Xbox off and then go down to the kitchen, it will then flag up on your Windows Phone and say you have a reminder. So it's going to go in more down here, Microsoft integrating everything together, all the features together, whether you have your PC, your console, and your phone, which is just a nice little thing, I think. Bringing it all together, isn't it? But because we said we'd keep it shorter, but we're still rambling on. So we're not going to talk too much about that. We're going to go straight on to our kind of main feature this week, which I was very interested in.
Epic Geeks present Cage the Rage.
So I couldn't believe my eyes when I saw this article, and we're not entirely sure whether this is a joke or not, are we?
I don't think anyone knows if it's a joke or not, to be honest.
So IGN has done the main article on this. It just starts off with $130 Battlefield 1 Collector's Edition doesn't come with the game. Dun dun dun. Amazon's exclusive Collector's Edition for Battlefield 1 costs $129.99 and doesn't include Battlefield 1. Available for all 3 of the game's formats, the item's listing is pretty specific. Battlefield 1 exclusive Collector's Edition does not include game. So what does the Gameless Video Game Collector's Edition include? Let's see. And then they've helped by annotating this here. So with the £130 or $130 will get you a 14-inch statue, not the game. Exclusive steelbook, not the game. A cloth poster, not the game. A deck of playing cards, which is a different game. Messenger pigeon tube containing exclusive DLC for the game, but not the game. Patch, not the game. Premium packaging, not the game. So, for the price of, well, a full price video game, you can grab the disc alongside the collector's edition for $189.99 on dollars, that is. And there's the $209.99 deluxe edition, which appears to make the sole edition of the early enlisted version of the game. As you may have guessed, that's usually $20 more than the base game. What do you think of this? Because I kind of find it unbelievable that people would spend 130 quid and still have to buy the game on top of that. I know you got two sides to this.
Yes, so I think considering we're in this Cage Rage segment, I should really try and cage the rage, and say that, you know what, I think this is an okay thing. I think this is probably a good thing, to be honest. And my reasoning is this, and I'm not trying to form this on the fly.
Yes, you are.
I am in some ways. Okay, let's look at it this way. So, pretty much most major AAA titles come with a collector's edition. And the sort of trinity you get with any collector's edition is, normally you get the game. Okay,
the game.
But normally, these days at least, you normally get a statue of some description. You get a trinket, a small little trinket of some description, and you tend to get like a cosmetic thing, like a map or posters or postcards, as it with Overwatch, those sort of things. So this is kind of like a super collector's edition. You know, you've got the 14-inch statue, which looks amazing. Okay, I'm going to ignore the steelbook because that does seem stupid. But the cloth poster, the deck of playing cards, you know, kind of old style playing cards, which is really cool. I'm going to ignore the DLC. DLC and the steelbook, yeah. Can we just agree that's really stupid, but not without the game. There's no point putting them in. And the patch is stupid. Yeah, I disagree. That's kind of stupid. But I think what these are, we always have collector's editions that, you know, yes, they come with the game, but collector's editions, they kind of fluff out the game. You know, you buy the game and you buy your collector's edition to kind of get some cool other stuff to say, listen, I really love this game and I'm happy to spend an extra 50 quid or $50 just getting a load of free bonus stuff with the game. But why can't you kind of get an add-on box, if that makes sense? And what I mean by that is, on one level, it kind of, the way I see it, and again, I'm trying to put this together on the fly in some ways, but it's me thinking about it. I think that the reason why this works is it clearly says this is not a collector's edition of the game. This is a collector's edition for the release. And the difference with that is that you can buy the game and you have the option at any time for anyone to buy the add-on collector's edition. Now that is good for the players and good for EA for various reasons. It's good for the players in that if they want to down the line at a later stage go, you know what, I really love this game and I want to get some cool stuff with it, they can buy the collector's edition without having to have, how can I put it, obviously it's expensive, but they're not losing some of the value in it and having the game, getting a second copy of the game. So everything they're paying for is bonus stuff, if that makes sense. And for EA, it works really well because you know what, they can design a collector's edition that really adds a load of stuff to the game. The steelbook even, the fact they're throwing that in, saying, listen, you know what, just have some loads of free stuff to help improve your experience in game and really sort of celebrate the release outside. And they can focus on sort of building that as a nice little standalone pack for people who are willing to spend that money and get something, really worthwhile.
I get your point. However, why call it collector's edition? Why not call it a collector's box or something? Because I get it, most of the money you're spending on is basically a statue, isn't it? Because people would spend that sort of money on a statue anyway.
Yeah.
A figurine. People spend that sort of money on it. But why call it Battlefield 1 Collector's Edition? Do you know what I mean? Well, it's not something... If it's something additional, something separate, I don't understand why you can't at least include a download of the game in that.
But what? They'd have to increase the price.
But why?
To give the game.
Why? You got people spending all this money, or you want people to spend it. Why can they not add a download in?
But I think you... How can I put it? Because...
Giving them the DLC.
I think that the important thing is, in some ways, that the game's not there. Because if you've bought the game, and then you want the collector's edition, you have to, in a way, buy the game again then, and you can say, oh yeah, they can put it in without raising the price. Well, that means some of the price is part of the game, which means people are kind of losing value. And I don't know if people actually are really ever put off by buying the game again in collector's edition. I imagine not many people are, but I just think, why can't they be separate?
I just think I just don't like it. I disagree. You haven't changed my opinion on this at all. It says Collector's Edition. Battlefield 1 Collector's Edition. Well, I think that's the first thing they need to do is change what they're calling it.
It's only just been listed. It might change.
It's not the Collector's Edition, is it? It's a collector's bundle or a collector's box or something. It's not a collector's edition of Battlefield 1.
Well, how's it any different than, let's look at Overwatch. They released a standalone Tracer statue.
Oh, but statues are different, aren't they? Because they're selling a statue.
Okay, but...
They're not selling a collector's edition of Overwatch with the statue and other stuff, but without the game.
I'm trying to... I think I can't think of an example with anyone who's ever done this, so it's hard to compare it. But I think if you say, listen, if they're willing to release a separate statue for the game, which was released before the game...
Which is fine. Yep, sell a statue. Say
and
this
then
is a
you
statue.
say, okay, well, what if they said, right, here's the statue, and we're going to give you some cool little collectibles.
That'd be fun.
Postcards. Cool, okay,
No
so we've
problem
now got a
with that at
statue and some collectible stuff.
No problem with that at all.
So let's throw in some DLC content and a steelbook for the game. And you've basically got this anyway. I guess,
But it's not the Battlefield 1 Collector's Edition, is it? This is what I'm getting at. It's not.
I agree the word edition is really weird, and I am hanging my entire argument here on the basis that a month from now they're going to change it to Battlefield 1 exclusive collector's battles chest or whatever.
Yes, that would be fine.
And
that would be fine.
I think what you're getting at is that it is deceptive in that it suggests it suggests that it's an edition of the game where they've just added the little disclaimer, we're not going to give you the game. Ha 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 ha, look at us, we're going to keep the game.
And how many people are going to buy it thinking they're going to get the game? Probably quite a few
people, I would think. But, they could just buy the game. It does cost more. But let's look at the deluxe edition. So that's $209. You've got the early enlisted version. So that is... I think, let's look at the deluxe edition then. So you're getting all that stuff, but you're getting the game as well, but it's costing, you get the bumped up version of the game. Do you have any issue with the deluxe edition?
I still think they're too expensive.
Okay, so price is the issue there.
I think they're expensive.
I think, maybe that's...
I think they're just ripping people off. I really do.
Yeah, I'm not denying that I think they're ripping people off. I wouldn't pay that amount of money for this, but
if you compare it, look, okay, you can get a Dishonored 2, $99.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what they're calling it. It just says Dishonored 2, so collector's edition. Okay. With it, you get for $99, which is quite a lot cheaper. A scale replica of Corvo's mask with stand, Emily's ring with display box, a propaganda poster, metal game case, digital copy of Dishonored Definitive Edition with all add-on content, special packaging, and the digital Imperial Assassins pack, with which you can earn exclusive bone charms like Duelist, Luck, Void Favour, discover new lore and art, including an antique circle and guitar, and the book Goodbye. Kanako Musician's Farewell, Imperial Assassins pack, including 500 coins to acquire new gear and weapons within Kornika's illegal black market shops. So that to me sounds like you're getting an awful lot more for your money if you are a Dishonored 2 fan.
Yes.
They're not getting a stupid patch.
Remember who we're dealing with here.
I know some people might like it bad. I just think that's a better. I think you're getting more. I think that's better. I don't know. I just think they're ripping people off. That's all.
I don't disagree with you.
And then they go and throw in that you're not even getting the game with it. You know.
Okay, and I think this is where we're approaching it. You're approaching it from the sense of, right, it's a rip-off because they're charging all this money for something that doesn't have the game. It's cheek not having the game. And I kind of agree with you on that. In fact, I do agree with you on that point. My argument is, going forward, if developers started to release add-on collector edition sets that were separate from the original game, I don't see an issue with that because I think it makes sense from their perspective because they can sell more of them and they can sell them after the initial launch. How many times have you seen collector's editions floating around?
Yeah.
And the thing that stops collector's edition selling, ironically, is the game because people have already bought the game and they can get it for a lot cheaper once it's used. So,
but if you're the sort of person that would buy a collector's edition, if you're the sort of person that's going to spend that much money on getting the figurine and the steel box and everything else that goes with it, why would the fact that the game's in it affect you anyway? Because I'm guessing if you're the sort of person that would go and buy it, you're going to go and buy it anyway. If you know what I mean.
Yeah, I do see what you mean if you're really hardcore about it, but I think there's an if. If the game's in there, there's an if. There's a group of people who would not buy it. However small it is, there's a group of people who would not buy it. But I'm trying to think of a metaphor.
So you're going to have people going out and buying the deluxe edition, and what was the other edition called? That you just said, the other one, the 200 odd quid one.
Deluxe.
You get the deluxe edition. And what's this one called then? The collector's edition. So you're going to get people that are going to want to go and buy the deluxe edition and the collector's edition. That's like $400.
But that's their choice. You're right. It's expensive. Let me put it this way. Think of it like going out for a meal. Okay, the vast majority of people are just going to go, right, there's my $60. There's my 40 quid. I'll just have the starter. I just want the starter, and that's me done. I don't want anything else. Now, normally, if people want to go for a collector's edition, they'll go, right, you know what? I'm going to go with the starter, and I want a decent main. Okay? Or if they want to spend on the deluxe, they'll go, I'll have the starter, and I'm going to have the main and dessert with it. And that's it. And you're right. Sometimes that gets super expensive, and sometimes you don't get value for your money. But what they're doing is they're saying, you know what? Let's separate starters and mains and dessert. Okay? If you get your starter and you play that for a month and you sit there and go, you know what, I really love this stuff, and you know what, I'm really liking the look of the main, you can go out and get the main. You haven't got to worry about getting a second
with
starter.
caviar and champagne included.
Yeah, if you want to then go out, the deluxe edition has the game, so that's kind of where the metaphor falls apart. They need to take the game out the deluxe edition for this to work. But that's my argument, is they're just giving people a choice to say, you know what, you don't have to get this stuff, but if you want it, guess what, you can get it, and you haven't got that annoying thing about having a spare copy of the game, because the last thing they want to do as well is promote people passing games on to their friends, because they completely try to destroy that. So, you know, I think it doesn't harm anyone. You're right, there's a real issue in value for money, and they're probably not getting value for money here, but I think the concept behind it is pretty sound, because you know what? If you were going to pay $40 for a game, and you know, if normally a collector's edition is $160, and you're going to pay 40 quid for the main game, what's wrong with saying, you know what, I'll pay the remaining 120 for my collector's edition if I want it? You're not losing money; it's just there if you want it.
Well, maybe in future, all developers should have two versions: one with the game and one without the game.
Oh, well, that's what I mean. I think, you know, collector's editions without the game wouldn't be a bad thing. It's just, you're right, you can't call it an edition because it's not an edition of the game. It's a completely separate product. But I think it just, you know, it's going to help. It makes more sense to sell it that way for the developer, and it just makes it more accessible for the player. If they really like the game, this could fall apart. You know, the sales patterns might happen the same way. You know, people might play the game and then another game comes out with its amazing collector's edition. They're like, actually, I'm going to go buy that instead. So it could shoot them in the foot, and they could end up with loads of these things floating around. But they're trying it, and I think it could surprise people.
This is why I like the Cage the Rage segment, because, you know, one of us comes up with something we don't like and the other one has to argue against it.
It's a tough argue. I agree with you for a lot of this.
You always do very well, though. I don't remember us actually arguing over it last week. We all agreed. But just to finish off, I would like to add there is another ridiculously priced one on here for Gears of War 4. Have you seen that one? On the other link, $249 for JD Phoenix on. Oh, hang on. Where's that sound coming from?
I'm not done.
Oh, I hate it when they do that. Where is it?
I can't hear anything.
Oh, no, some advert just happened. You know when they play the adverts randomly on sites? That really annoys me. So, Gears of War 4, $249. JD Phoenix on COG bike premium statue, 11-inch tall, which I'm guessing is what most of the money is going on. It's a very cool looking statue there. Frag grenade keychain, which looks a bit pathetic.
Yeah, it's pretty pathetic.
A lithograph, which again looks a bit pathetic. Exclusive packaging, which is just a black box with a picture on it. A steel bookcase. 3 Gears crates for in-game use. Access 4 days early. 4 days?
Complete the game in that time.
Season pass and special packaging. That doesn't actually say whether it comes with the game or not. But I kind of think, do you know what? Why not just sell the statue? Because there's no point really in the rest of it being in there. That's just my opinion. Whatever.
I will agree with that. I think the bike is clearly the selling point. I think that it's an amazing looking statue. I would totally buy that if it was standalone, and the rest of it is complete rubbish. I hate this lithograph thing. I see other games do this, and admittedly, it's when Overwatch did postcards. I just hate this concept that they can get bits of artwork and just palm it off in such a. The thing that older collector's editions did really well is they always tended to have art books.
Yeah.
And games these days don't do art books. And if they do art books, they're really not up to par. Overwatch's one was a little bit disappointing in that it compressed a lot of the imagery. And I don't like this. That's not enough. You know, who in their right mind is going to be able to frame that?
It's not even a book. Like, so you used to get little nice, not just art books. You sometimes used to get like books with lore in it, didn't you? Or a DVD or something a little extra going in the making of it, or
yeah, you did
really
get that.
Makes you feel like you're getting a little bit more content for your money. Really.
So how much is this?
$249.
$249. So yeah, I'd easily say at least 150 of that is on the statue.
Yeah.
Without doubt.
So 100 quid is on a keychain, getting 4 days extra access, a lithograph, and a couple of in-game bits that don't sound that amazing.
Yeah, and I tell you what, if we said, right, let's take this edition of the game and take out the game, and look at the bike and the keychain and that, I think we'd have the same discussion we had now, which is, you know what, it's a cool thing that people can have access to, but the value for money is complete rubbish. It's not worth that amount of money. And
let's face it, most people will be paying it for the statue. That is what they'll be wanting.
Yeah, but then again, you know, like all collector's editions with statues, you see this stuff flood eBay soon after. So, and people will try and mark up the price from the statue. So it comes down to, you're right, whether you want the statue or not. But is the rest worth it? Probably
you should
not.
At least get a week's access, surely. 4 days just seems a bit poor, doesn't it?
That's probably technical, though. I think that's probably to do with servers, because...
Yeah, but they know they're going to be giving out these editions, don't they? So you would have thought they'd... Well, I don't know.
Well,
maybe they don't think enough people... October the 7th. Maybe they don't think enough people are going to buy it, so they don't want too many people... But yeah, I don't know.
So October the 11th is a Tuesday.
7th.
So...
Oh, no. Sorry, 11th. No, sorry.
Yeah,
oh, so you get it on the October the 7th, yeah.
So you will have it...
on the 7th.
So you'll have it Friday the 7th and the weekend. I think that's quite smart. Because that's when people are going to have time off work to play it. If you had it from Tuesday, you probably wouldn't play it that much, whereas you can just go all out.
Okay, unless they released it on a Friday, which would be more clever. I suppose they don't want the servers crashing.
Yeah, but then all their exclusive players who have bought a really overpriced collector's edition wouldn't have a bonus. So that's what you're paying for. You know, you're paying for statue you're paying for early access.
You're paying to test the servers over a weekend.
And that is a valid discussion point.
There you go. That's it then. Let's finish. Let's leave it there.
That's a cool Dishonored set.
Leave it. That is very, very cool.
That is what you call a worthwhile collector's edition.
Apart from it's about $100 overpriced.
Well, how much is it?
Oh, which one are you looking at? Hang on.
Dishonored 2.
Oh, the Dishonored 2 one, yes. That's and it's a fair price, I think.
Well,
$99. $99, yeah, I think that's fair.
60 quid, that's what I probably buy the game for that.
Exactly. And it's quite a cool looking mask and the little poster thing. Oh, hang on, it's doing that thing again. I'm closing it down.
Close it all down.
Audio ruining my podcast. Right. I'll use my audio, my outro music. Thank you very much. So we have been Epic Geeks. This is episode 30 in the 30. They seem to go very... I know we've had like 8 months off, but it seems to go... Because we do it every 2 weeks as opposed to weekly. Mm-hmm. The Geeks of Azeroth podcasts just dashes off into the future with their number one, like number 80 or something.
Episode 84 coming out.
Because we only have, not so many a year, do we? Every 2 weeks, so it goes a lot slower, but we're building them up. 30 episodes, we're at 30 now. We'll next be heading towards 50. Maybe we should do a big thing at 50 because it'll take us ages to get to 100. Let's face it.
I'm pretty certain it'll be 2017 by then, which does seem a little while off.
Yeah, probably. So you can find out more about Epic Geeks at our website, epicgeeks.co.uk. Of course, please go to our YouTube channel because we're trying to get more subscribers because we've been stuck around the 500 mark for ages and we need to try and get up to like 1,000 or something. So we're trying to push it. Please go along to youtube.com official Epic Geeks and subscribe to our podcast. On there you will find video versions of our podcast, video versions of Geeks of Azeroth, along with other games. Tom, you've been doing a few games, haven't you, recently? What have you been doing?
Well, I am, as Jason Vincent requested, I am getting back into the Battlefleet stuff and a few other things, so stay tuned. I will be getting back into uploading more streams and things like that. It's just finding the time, but thankfully that time is coming.
Yes.
And now the weather's going to get awful again. I'll have every reason to stay on my flat.
Winter's coming, people. Even more Epic Geeks content.
You'll get loads of it.
Tarly has been doing his Outlast scary videos. He likes doing his scary videos. Even if you don't like scary games, it is hilarious watching him play scary games. So go and watch that. Jake will be coming back soon as well. Zulgeek, he might be up for doing something. And I shall be doing some Destiny videos soon and other little bits. I often do little reviews and things on there. So please go along and subscribe. Follow us on Twitter, epic_geeks, and you can follow me on Twitter at Dracas. Where can we find you, Britza?
You can find me at Britza_EG.
And please send us any questions or comments either to our Twitter, comment underneath this or any of our videos, because we will find it. It flags up a little thing and tells me you've left a video. Or you can email us if you like. Old fashioned now. It's a bit like emailing is a bit like snail mail, isn't it now? Nobody really uses email anymore, but if you want to, if you're a bit old school, you can email the Epic Geeks Podcast at gmail.com. Epic Geeks Podcast at gmail.com. Thank you very much for listening. I'd like to again say thank you very much for Coltrane for joining us last week. That was an amazing episode. Enjoyed it very, very much. And yeah, I can't really say much more about that, but he is a good friend of the show. Thank you, Coltrane. That's it. Goodbye.
Bye.
That was a really damp goodbye, wasn't it? Goodbye.
Like a sort of Paxman bye.
I'm happy, really.
And I think that comes across.
Thanks.
That wasn't meant to sound sarcastic.
This podcast is part of the Epic Geeks Network. To find out about this and other shows, visit epicgeeks.co.uk. Epic Geeks. For gamer geeks. By gamer geeks.